Hello and welcome to the ID Talk podcast. My name is Tony Bitzionis, and I'm here with my good friends and co-hosts, Mr. Alex Perala and Mr. Dave Barclay. Alex, Dave, how are you?
Good. Hello.
Hello, I'm very well, thank you.
Today we have a very special guest. We are joined by Jarek Sygitowicz from Authologic. Jarek, how are you? And first of all, thank you for being on the show. Um, why don't you go ahead and get us started? Just give us a overview of your background, what your experience has been in the industry, and how you came to co-found Authologic.
Okay. Thank you for invitation. Yeah, I'm a co-founder of Authologic. We are building a global eID hub. So we are connecting all the government issued digital IDs, identity wallets, and bank IDs into a single API. We founded the company in 20. We got accepted to Y Combinator in 21, and the first initial problem that we wanted to solve was, um, you know, biometrics and picture-based ID, and we wanted to solve it with open banking APIs. So basically, the first idea was to use banks and open banking APIs and build kind of a global bank ID based on the open banking APIs. It turned out that it can be done. Well, like we did it, but you don't have all the data that is required. And our customers asked us to add more ID verification methods. eIDs became a thing because in 2021, COVID and all the lockdowns forced the governments to actually work on something and change the ID infrastructure. And turned out this was great timing. We started to add one by one, and eventually we became kind of an aggregation and orchestration layer on top of the government provided APIs and bank provided APIs. Today, the biggest challenge we are solving is the complexity of the whole ID space, or KYC AML onboarding space in broader terms. And one of the biggest problems right now our clients are facing is they want to prepare themselves for eIDAS 2.0 regulation in Europe, which will introduce next generation identity wallets. And yeah, these are the things that we are working on right now. So adding this functionality of EUDI to the platform.
And when you say your platform is like connecting the different digital ID APIs, just for anyone who maybe isn't that technical and might not know, the API is like, from what I understand, and hopefully you'll correct me, but an API is basically the interface um, that you're like if I am logging onto an online service, there's a API interface on whatever that platform is that I'm connecting to, basically, right? It's like
Mhm.
some kind of like
Yeah, this is
switchboard, basically, in a way.
it's think about you're interacting with services using website probably or some kind of interface on your phone, so you know where to click to get some results. So API is this only for programmers. So we know that if we use this function, we will get this result. So basically, it's like a UI but for programming languages, and this allows us to actually make sure that the services that we are connected to do what we want them to do, and eventually get the result, which is super quick. Like one of the results is that the front end part, which is if you go to the regulated service, you will have different options to use different eIDs. Like let's say you're from Belgium, you have It's Me identity wallet and the option to use um, traditional biometrics and document scanning.
Mm.
So these are the two things that you can choose, and if you choose one, we know what to do next. We will push you through the process of either scanning document or using the wallet, and we are selling this as a package to the regulated companies, so they don't have to deal with those APIs. And you know try to connect with the government services, etc. So one of the biggest, I'm joking sometimes that one of the biggest problems we solve is actually dealing with the government agencies and dealing with their level of support and documentation and everything else. And so if they don't have to, right? And if you multiply this by the number of countries you're operating in, like you get a lot of gray hair if you want to do this yourself. So so we are dealing with basically solving this problem.
Right. Are you personally, like, do you have that technical background? Are you personally very involved in that, or is your role more like overseeing a team of nerds?
Yeah, so the founding team is technical. So I was responsible for front end development, and the team is getting bigger and bigger. So I'm doing less and less coding, but basically, yeah, we are all technical, and you know, I'm currently transitioning to be more in the strategy kind of field. So understanding technology or deeply understanding technology is very beneficial because, especially with with behemoths like, EUDI, that are very, very complex. I'm not sure if you guys saw the documentation, but it's, the motto of European Union is why do something easy if you can do something very complex? And you need to understand deeply what it is, what you can do with it, and then kind of design the roadmap. What we wanna, how we can help customers to actually start using this, because the business benefits of using the wallet are great. Like, in the countries where wallets are popular, we see like 60% increase in conversion rates. Typical onboarding using biometric KYC is like 3 to 4 minutes. With identity wallets, it's like 20 seconds. And you do literally, you scan the QR code or you have a deep link to your wallet, you approve transfer of your data, and you come back. And this is a big change. But technical integration, maintaining those APIs, following the changes, it's very, very, very difficult, especially if every country has its own flavor of the implementation. So yeah, we do that for customers, so they don't have to worry about that. So you can think about us as a Stripe for KYC. So Stripe does this for payments. We do the same thing for KYC, because KYC right now is as complex as payments, or maybe with introduction of EUDI, maybe it's even more complex.
Yeah, we're talking about a bit before that there's different parts of the world that are leading the conversion to digital wallets more and eIDs. Is there any particular part of the world or country that's doing really well at this? You said Europe is kind of good at making it very complex.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have countries like India with digital Aadhaar, and they have really like superb infrastructure, great database, with full biometrics of citizens. They have DigiLocker as a service, so digital identity. They have Aadhaar app, more and more users on that app. So this is one of the examples of kind of a centralized digital identity where this is a kind of government service. The other example would be Singapore, UAE, so United Arab Emirates with UAE Pass, Singapore Sync Pass. These are nations where you can do everything with your wallet, even pay for the parking space, a lot of like very, very high level of sophistication and adoption. Of course, the Nordics in Europe, the Baltics, Central Europe. In Poland, identity wallet is being used 1 million times a day. Countries like Belgium, the Netherlands, Portugal, Spain, Italy, France with France Connect. In Italy, Speed, which is their eID, has 35 million users. Right. So we have a lot of examples. Argentina, with Me Argentina, they have very, very similar framework. So a lot of adoption across the world. And I think this will be, and from the complexity standpoint, most of those implementations are kind of centralized around governments. And one of the biggest issues or kind of problems that most people have, especially in the mm, ex-Commonwealth sphere, was that this is the EIDs, the ultimate fascist regime, trying to track what people are doing. The government understands what you do every step of the way, etc. So this actually is the current implementation, that governments can do that if you use EID, but and this is the good news. The next version of implementation, and it's being adopted by India right now, but Ukraine, European Union, UK, you guys in US have the same thing, which is the adoption of verifiable credentials, and sovereign identity is changing that. So basically, we are talking about the situation where you have your ID in your phone, all the data sits here, and the connection and the exchange of information is peer-to-peer. So basically, from my phone gets information. What is the endpoint that it needs to send the data to? It sends the data to this endpoint, to the service that requires information, and that's it. What is also important to note is that some of those use cases that we are very excited about, like age verification, proof of humanity online, like if you are a AI or or a human, these can be done using those new wallets with something we call zero knowledge proofs. So you don't send any data. Like your wallet just confirms that you are over 18. So the interaction is literally like, is this person over 18? And the wallet says yes. And that's it. And there is no driving license information sent, no date of birth. Like this is your wallet becomes a trusted source of information, and is able to prove that you are a unique human and you are over 18, right? So
Right. And that doesn't go to the government to control you.
Exactly. There is no so the whole architecture. I'm not sure if I'm not going too deep. Let me know. But the whole architecture is around that. You need to understand who is requesting the data. So we call it the wallet relying party, and there will be a list of those relying parties. So or registry. So the reason why we have the registry is to be able to prevent phishing and identity theft. So the wallet will have embedded this information that, okay, this is the registry. You can keep it locally on your phone, and your phone will say, okay, this request comes from the website called Airbnb, and do I have it? Oh yeah, okay. They are certified to get information from the wallet. Great. I can send them some information, and there is no info that you are connecting to Airbnb and you're trying to rent something to the government. It's only between your wallet and Airbnb, or intermediary like us, which will help Airbnb to make sense of the whole thing. So essentially, the wallet can be provided by the government, and some people will be okay with that. But you can use any EUDI compatible, or any NDL compatible wallet. It means that this can be Apple Wallet, Google Wallet, Samsung Wallet, whatever you want to use. So if you are paranoid enough to think that those wallets will be connecting to the government anyway, the government provided wallets, you can use private wallet, and then this should be guarantee that especially like Apple with whole privacy messages, etc. So they should keep the data inside, and they will not share it with anyone. So yeah, and this will change the game, and we are racing with time right now. Because AI, so you don't know who you're talking to online. Yeah, like who's the famous Reddit situation where bots were influencing people. We need this right now to be able to understand who is human, who is not, and age verification also across the globe. In US, in France, they did this. In basically the whole European Union is thinking about protecting children from specific types of content. So they want to make sure that it's very easy, very privacy focused way for you to actually prove that you're over 18 or over 21, and all the countries are on board, basically, even countries that are historically against EIDs, UK, US, Canada, Australia. These countries are moving on, and UK just launched the wallet, gov.uk. I think it's in pilot phase. By the end of the year, I think the Prime Minister said that he wants to go to the pub and show his digital ID to get a pint, right? So that's the goal.
It's a very UK example there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting. I was going to ask you, because you mentioned that there are places where it's slower to adopt, where they're slower to adopt digital identity, and we're in Canada, and definitely that's the case here. But what's your sense on how the expectations around digital identity have changed around the world? I mean, is it influenced by just adoption, or do regulations play a role in that? Because I know that we write and read about new adoptions every day. I mean, it seems that it's just exploding. How are, in your opinion, like the expectations around the use of digital identity changing around the world?
Okay, so I think that the expectations are changing because we have pretty much everything digital except for the IDs, right? So on my phone, I have my car keys, my boarding passes, my loyalty cards, my payment cards, everything is here, right?
Right.
This is my car key, right? And and the only thing I don't, like, I'm a Polish citizen, so I have my ID here as well. But if you're not in Poland or in Central Europe, you don't have the ID here. So that's the only thing you don't have, which is, if you think about the younger generation, Generation Z, they have IDs, and it's like it doesn't make sense. Like, why can't I put my ID into the phone, because I have everything else in my phone.
It seems like
I've
old-fashioned
heard,
to have to use the paper one or the
yeah,
plastic.
it has to happen, right? It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Like everything else is already here, so why not IDs? And I think that I've heard one of the UK banks told me that in 2013 they did a study and asked their customers, what is do you think as a customer that your mobile phone is secure? And in 2013, most of the people said, no, not really secure. Mobile banking is not, like, I wouldn't use it. 10 years later, if you ask the users if your mobile phone is secure, it's like the most secure thing I have. and you have everything. You have your bank there. You have payment cards. I know that in US there's still people that they like to use their plastic, but there are countries like UK. You are using your phone and mobile payments everywhere. You can go to tube and use contactless everywhere, basically. So in Central Europe it's the same. I don't have my plastic cards unless I'm traveling. Right. So I think this has changed, and people are asking questions like, why don't we have IDs in the phone? And the second thing that changed, I think, is the COVID started it, and I think AI is finishing it. There is no way you can. So the legacy ID verification method is by taking pictures of your ID, right, and doing the liveness check. The problem with that is that I can generate fake ID using ChatGPT in 5 seconds, right? Of course, it won't be perfect, but it's good enough. And in the dark net, you can actually pay like, I don't know, 10 cents per ID, and they have a trained llama, LLMs to do it for you, and it's much better quality, and it's becoming a bigger and bigger problem. And deepfakes are the same. So all the compliance officers and people that are actually influencing the governments are asking the question like, okay, if I today can generate fake ID in 5 seconds using ChatGPT, what will happen in 3 months? Because ChatGPT is 2 years old. So at the
Mhm.
beginning, it could just do some text, then it could do some images. Now it's great images. Now it can do video. Like in 3 months from today, it's 6 months from today, in a year from today, what will happen, right? So the governments are relatively slower moving, and I think, but they are picking up the threat as well. That we cannot trust the pictures anymore, and it'll be only worse. So we need to have like strong cryptography that will protect us.
Mhm.
And I think this is the second very big kind of force that is pushing for the whole industry.
I think you're right about what's driving the adoption, and there's clearly like a very strong demand for it, including from me. I would rather use my phone pretty much for anything. I wish I could put my passport on my phone.
Mhm.
Can you do that in Poland? Probably not. I don't know if that's a thing in.
No, not yet, not yet.
Okay.
Starting from 2026, your ID card will be within Schengen zone. You will be able to use it on
Oh,
the phone, and you will be able to travel with it. So this is part of ADAS 2.0.
we're getting there. But I
Yeah.
but I do want to know what you think, because you alluded earlier to the kind of political resistance, especially I think you said in the former Commonwealth countries. It's a topic that I'm kind of obsessed with, and I bring it up every time we're talking about digital ID, just because I find it so thorny to address, because I see their real concerns. Like I get why people are worried, but I also see that it's,
Yeah.
at times it's quite hysterical from my perspective. So what do you think is the right way to address that? Like how the way you've explained it to us, I think is pretty convincing, but also very technical. So how do you address
Yeah. Okay.
like from a political messaging point of view?
Yeah, absolutely. I get what you say. So I think this is very similar. The discussion about eIDs in Commonwealth, I think, are very similar to the discussion about the self-driving cars, and because you definitely have something that is better and makes less errors than human,
Mhm.
and still there is the resistance, right? So, but it's being smaller and smaller, and the adoption is getting bigger and bigger. I think it's very similar because EIDs are obviously much more privacy focused. You don't have to share data. Today, in the Commonwealth countries, the standard is that private companies have every information about you. So you can go to Equifax and query, and you will get all the credit history. Everything about you is held by the private company. And if you want to do something online, you are scanning your passport or ID and sending this to some other company. And the level of protection of those systems is abysmal most of the time. So, you know, this is obviously worse than EID, but still, you know, people are resisting. And I think it'll take some time for people to understand. And from the messaging perspective, um, I think the breaking point, or maybe not the breaking point, but I think the most obvious argument would be the self-sovereign identity, and but education on the thing that you can control your data and you're not being followed by anyone. That your data is actually sitting on your phone and you are owner of the data. But yeah, no, my experience is that like most people don't understand that. So it's like
Yeah, it sounds
no,
like
nobody understands it.
the things that skeptics of EIDs are concerned about, like privacy and security, you're saying EIDs are the best solution to those concerns. Does that make
Yeah,
sense? Is that right?
but yeah, exactly. But the problem is that explaining to people what self-sovereign identity is, meaning that you have your data on your phone and you control what you share with whom. This is quite like it's difficult to explain, and but also there is a level of irrationality, and I understand where it comes from, right? Because I was born in Poland when it was under communist regime, so it's not like I trust the government completely, and I understand what are the risks. But exactly because I don't trust the government, I'm trying to push this SSI, so self-sovereign identity, because I know that this will protect me from the government. I have my data, and if the government forces like service providers to check my age, I'm not sharing any data about myself except for I'm above 18. But you have to have a level of technical understanding. So I'm trying to figure out what would be the best way to explain this to people. I don't have the answer right now, but I think that there's a level of irrationality and expectation because of historical reasons, and this is very similar to self-driving cars, because if you have machine driving the car, you expect it to be 100% like perfect, and the situation where you say that it's much better than the human driver is not really like good enough, right? So that's but still, like, people are starting to understand that this is a trade-off. You have EID, which is like, okay, there is a element of this kind of giving up on the idea that we don't have ID, because in some countries you don't have ID at all, right? In UK, the problem with EIDs is that there is no IDs, so they have to create the ID system first and then do the EID. So you give up this part, like you create this ID system for the citizens, but you have benefits, right? So it's much more secure. You can solve a lot of different problems. I don't wanna, repeat the talking points of the politicians, but I think one of them is immigration, control of which content goes to whom, and especially youngsters. And if you guys have kids, that this you know how big of a problem this is, that your kids have right now unlimited access to everything. So these are the talking points that they are using. But yeah, it'll be a battle, and it'll be a process. And I think that the younger generation will get it first, and I think the convenience will win. Basically, the convenience argument will be ultimately the best one.
That is what happened with like mobile biometrics, which is something we spent many years covering on our platform. Uh, it was like when it first came out, like when the first iPhone came out with a fingerprint scanner, it was such a new thing, and just the convenience won people over. It took about a decade,
Mhm.
Yeah,
but it's like now it's just
yeah.
commonplace. And it makes me think like there's got to be like a Kleenex of digital IDs that just because I don't know how it is in Europe. In Canada, and I think in the US, like we use Kleenex to refer to every tissue, whether it's Kleenex
Oh, yeah,
brand or
yeah.
not. And so that
Okay.
is sort of, I think, maybe where things are going to go, where there's something that just becomes like everyone kind of says Face ID now, whether they're actually using Apple's Face ID
Yeah,
or not. They're like,
Yeah.
oh no, just use Face ID to unlock it. And like people
yeah,
ask,
yeah.
which chat GPT should I use? The one from Anthropic or the one
Right.
from
Yeah,
OpenAI? So I think,
yeah.
yeah, maybe there will just be some like super convenient thing that makes it very popular. And then I'm just sharing this for all of you for
Yeah, yeah,
posterity.
yeah.
It's
I
it's
think we are
true.
slowly getting there with Apple Wallet and Google Wallet, I think. So I'm not sure if Google Wallet or Samsung Wallet will be bigger in this case, because Samsung Wallet is pre-installed on all the Samsung devices. But
Mm.
eventually, these are the one of the ultimate beneficiaries of all the eIDs, because you will want your ID, driving license, loyalty cards, car keys and everything else in one place, probably.
I have to go back to the technical side of things and the obviously we're all very enthusiastic about digital ID here. So, but just back to the like scary parts of it, when your team has been looking at different government APIs, have you ever come across something in an API where you were like, that's weird? Like, oh, they can access your banking history or something like, has there been anything like that where
No,
you're
no.
like, that doesn't
Okay.
seem good?
Yeah, so no, nothing like that. No, skeletons in the closets or anything like that. No. They are very typically, using most of the time using very obscure technologies or all, enterprise technologies. But it's very always to the point. Like, it's purpose-built API only for sharing information, nothing else. And most of the legacy EIDs, like the infrastructure we are dealing with right now, they are mm, kind of very built around the concept of making sure that the person that is requesting the data is actually the actual owner of the data, and this is on the government side. And on the bank ID side, there is a whole concept of strong customer authentication when you are sharing data. So and you're basically connecting to your bank account, requesting the data, and you always see what kind of data you are sharing. So you are always aware of the fact that you are sharing first name, last name, everything is listed. And they will not share anything else. And so from that perspective, it's very, very secure. And if we talk about the newer ones like EUDI, a lot of the code is open source, and a lot of the standards are open source. So these are open standards, and everyone can actually go and review them. So there is no funny stuff, and so you're very well protected. If anything, will governments will try to do, then I'm sure it'll be, on the headlines of the
Yeah.
newspapers. I don't think they want to do that.
Alex,
Yeah.
what specifically are you worried about the government's finding out about your banking history? Just so we can
Yeah.
make sure we're all on the same page here.
I think that you should make this public, Alex.
Yeah.
It's more a concern about like my clients' banking.
Okay.
Yeah, we can
No,
Other
talk about that
people,
offline.
we're ruined.
yeah. There are some things that are, people are worried about, and I think they're, right reasons. Is the government? It's called CBDCs, I think. So central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. Um, so this is a problem because on blockchain everything is public, so you can actually see who is transacting and transferring money to whom, and it's all government, like controlled by the government. So all the digital currency supply is controlled by the government, so they fully understand who got the initial money, and you can trace the whole thing. So that's why CBDCs are not taking off. Basically, one of the biggest problems was privacy. On the other hand, EUDI, it's really like in full swing, and a lot of countries already are either providing the wallets, or all the countries in Europe are working on a wallet, and it's based fully on open standards. So there is no way you can hide something, or you can sneak some additional information there.
This sounds terrible for all the money laundering that Alex wants to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you
Keep
make
Um,
my
trying.
life a lot harder, Jarek.
Don't give up, man.
Question, Yark, do you have any examples? I think I saw you commenting on the UK's rollout of eIDs, that they have to be like kind of careful to do it in the right way. Is there an example of a rollout of eIDs in a country that has gone badly and like made everyone mad and they've mismanaged it?
No, no, I'm not aware of any country mismanaging a rollout of EID. I am aware of EID rollouts that were not really successful. Like, the adoption was not really skyrocketing, and I think it's always connected to the business adoption. So, one of the secrets of Central European, I would say, adoption success, and the Baltics and the Nordics, of course, is that it was very open and businesses could connect to those schemes, and you can use EIDs in multiple different places. So in the Nordics, basically, if you want to book a dentist appointment, you use bank ID. It's quicker that way. It's faster, right? In Poland, we use mObywatel for pretty much everything. So it's connected to and so openness of the service provider. In our case, this is the government, is key, and how they work with uh, the most important stakeholders, in this case, the telecoms and the banks. And if you, as a bank, give users alternative, whether they want to use EID for signing up or traditional process, the user will choose the EID. The moment they use it once, it's done. Like you don't want to go back. It's like when you use contactless payments. Like, instead of chip and pin, you do the tap, and that's it. So you don't want to go back, basically. So that's I think the openness to collaboration with the businesses, and quickly building the acceptance network for EIDs is a key. That's why European Union is insisting on mandating the countries to issue the wallets, not mandating people to use them. So you have an option. You can use plastic or digital, and adoption is like this, of course, because people want a convenience. That they don't want to deal with the plastic. But then they are mandating the regulated companies to accept those digital documents, right? So you know that you onboard to the wallet, and then you know where to use it, and you have option, like you have actually ability to use this in your day-to-day life. So this is quite important, and I think European Union thought about this. And if we have examples of countries that were starting the wallet and were protective, or put to big, like some of the people are putting a lot like big pricing on the usage of the wallet for businesses, then the adoption is not taking off, because you have with EIDs and adoption, it's like two-sided marketplace. You have EIDs, and you need to grow the number of users, and you have the second element of the marketplace is the acceptance network, right? And this is a typical conundrum. Like, if nobody is using EID, why, as a business, should I integrate with EID? And vice versa. If no business is offering me option to use EID, why should I onboard to the EID wallet? So then you have to stimulate both sides of the marketplace, and then eventually it's a flywheel, and then the rest is history.
Well, that is the trend, fortunately. Like, as you pointed out, adoption is skyrocketing, and it sounds like Authologic is doing the Lord's work, saving gray hairs among the EID providers everywhere. So we commend you, and we look forward to seeing more of what your team is going to do going forward, especially in Europe. We're kind of jealous watching what's going on over there. So
Absolutely.
well done.
Yeah.
We would love to help you guys in Canada.
Please.
To
Please
Please.
help.
Okay.